Hi, friends. My name's Huesto Enrico. I'm sometimes referred to as the Huesto de Taquiendo de Femia City Peopleoples, or in English, the host of Talking with Spanish People. But right now, I'm not known as that. Right now, I'm known simply as Eric, guy live streaming. Life can sometimes surprise you, not surprise you, nothing necessarily. Why? Just because I say life can sometimes, something happened? What are you, some sort of FI guru? Oh, Jason Blood. Everybody knows that moisture gets in the way of good performance by your electronics. You don't want to put your electronics in water. It won't work. Same thing with everything else in life. When you put something in water, it doesn't work properly. The only things that can live in water and moisture all the time are fish, called FI users. That's why fish starts with FI, because they live in the water all the time. You know? So, smoke the rest of this blunt. Might as well. I got some burgers cooking on the barbecue. I was too hungry to sleep. Moisture does make things wet. That's true. That's why you shouldn't put your refrigerator underwater. True story. True story. It's really, to get your full allotment of any, you need to come get a dosage every hour on the hour. If I'm not live streaming, you need to watch some of my old videos. My face had a sad expression. Well, feelings come and go. Unlike truth, justice, and the American way, those are permanent, Jason Blood. As permanent as the ink from a Sharpie pen. Well, truth is, Rachel and I are having a little difficulty, but that happens every once in a while. It's 2 a.m. here. It's 2 a.m. I'm barbecuing outside right now. The neighbors are up too. These Chinese people who live next door to us, they stay up so late. They're mostly for TI. It's a little coffee. That's the problem with smoking a blunt. Kind of, it's a little bit more coffee than a regular. And pulling bong rips. So yeah, we're having a little bit of a spat. Let me tell you what we're fighting about, so you get to know the reality of it. I didn't want to wait for her tomorrow to finish watching this movie we were watching. This upset her a great deal. But, I almost always do wait, but sometimes I want what I want. I don't want to wait. So, why can't you just wait? I can. I don't want to. It's that simple. Sometimes I don't want to wait, and that's okay too. It's one of those things where I get to have feelings occasionally too. I don't want to have them a lot. Most of the time, I don't care either way. I wait, not wait. I don't care. But in this case, I didn't want to. So, I don't know. I feel kind of like my feelings are being disrespected in this instance. Yeah, we uh, we had a little spat. How come everybody comes in here and just knows this instantly? What's going on? What cue did I give to that? Just because I had a sad expression? What the hell? Everything okay? Come on, guys. Come on. Come on now. How can you guys all read me so well instantly like that? I've got to have some mystery about me, don't I? Just because I'm live streaming in the middle of the night and the title is Sometimes Life Can doesn't mean that. Oh, so okay, you didn't come in anticipating that. That's fine. Yeah, well, Rachel and I are having a little spat. I mean, that title can just as easily be completed with "be just fantastic" as anything else. Sometimes life can be just fantastic. That's just as much of a likely outcome to that sentence as anything else. It's true, though, what you say there. What you say there is that people don't tend to care much about EHP's feelings because we don't give them preference ourselves. We sort of train people to assume that we're never going to really have a care either way for something. But then when we do, we take them by surprise. Well, I don't want to wait for you. I want to do it now. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, you can't have feelings too. Yeah, I can. I do. Sometimes I want to do what I want to do. Thumbnail title, my tummy tightened. How and where is Rachel? She's inside, presumably sleeping, or I don't know. In her defense, I did indicate before we started the movie that I'd be willing to stop it and resume it the next day. And then I changed my mind about that. So that's my bad. But that wasn't really what she was complaining about. She didn't complain about the my not following through on that. But regardless, that was her best argument. That's not the argument she was making, really. Hi, Kanki and Krishna Summer Pagoo. So yeah, which was fine. It was rather out of the blue, everything was fine, and then all of a sudden it's like this big deal about this. We argued because I didn't want to wait till tomorrow to finish watching this movie that we were watching together. I wanted to finish it. She wanted to go to bed. So I said, well, I'll just finish it on my own and you can finish it on your own. Well, she didn't like that. I got to flip my burgers. My point is, look, me waiting to finish watching it with you is fine, but when you insist that I wait for you, you're also forcing me to consume media at your rate, and I don't always want to do that. And it's not always the case that everything good I want to watch something that I should only be able to watch it when you're around. It's like I gotta have shit I want to see without. It's like I don't necessarily want to wait. I want to watch stuff when I want to watch it. That's not really being afforded any legitimacy. Anyway. I gotta get these burgers here. They're about done, I think. I'll be right back. All right, just gonna get my food. The thing is, it's very frustrating because it's like I'm generally I'm very accommodating. I'm not somebody to say no to Rachel. If she wants, yeah, okay, let's yeah, you know. But so it's like when I do say no to her, then she needs to take that with graciousness. Well, I mean, sensible civil societies wouldn't let them into their country because they're going to bring a poisonous ideology. Is civil society stronger than the reductionist drive to a pre-enlightenment sort of thinking that represents the current manifestation of Islam? Hard to say, but I wouldn't want to take the chance on purpose. And remember, immigration decisions should fundamentally be decisions made out of self-interest by a sovereign state. But you're misframing the decision. Decisions regarding the borders and immigration are decisions that ought to serve the interests of the state and the citizens thereof. They're not border decisions like that are legitimately subjective. In other words, they're self-interested decisions. They're not interested. There's no principled right to move to another country. Well, then, by and large, you're not talking about contemporary Islamics who believe strongly in the death penalty by and large, as a general population for people who insult Islam. They're like, Egypt had massive public demonstrations to deport a filmmaker they didn't like to Egypt so they could execute him. That's kind of craziness you don't want to encourage. Holla back, Alan. Thanks, WM. Let's do the gang sign for Winston's mom. Winston's mom. Delicious. Yeah, I'm a little frustrated. I feel treated unfairly. I feel like Rachel is being spoiled. I mean, you should notice, additionally, though, that I oppose the U.S. efforts to stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. We have no standing for that. Yeah. I mean, people have been indulgent with me when I've been wrong, forgiven, and not used it against me. But I mean, my family, I never would have been permitted to get away with being a brat, you know. David Strauss doesn't brook none of that shit. Jason Blood, I generally agree with you to mean classically liberal. In other words, rights respecting. Prioritizing rights over what they consider sacred, for example, is a critical question. What's more important when they conflict, individual rights or what you consider sacred? If they can't answer individual rights, honestly, they don't belong anywhere near civil society. Do you dogs know what I'm saying, dogs? I mean, there's a core question. What's more important, individual rights or what you consider sacred? If they can't honestly answer individual rights, they don't belong anywhere near a civil society. This is a secular civil society that we're promoting here. If we're on the side of decency, you know, and people we admit into our secular civil society should have the right attitude about that, be on the right team about that. They should be on the team of a civil society that respects individual rights and free expression over the enforcement of what they consider sacred. And if they can't do that, then they don't belong in the country, period. Now, how can we test those people to see if they actually meet that criterion? I don't know. The thing is, the Supreme Court made a bad ruling about immigration policy, saying that it had to adhere to the same standards that apply to citizens and stuff. In other words, there can't be any bias or whatever, religious bias or there's no reason to think that that should be the case because those people aren't citizens. The United States has no obligation to treat them as such. So there should be nothing wrong with the government saying we're going to specifically exclude people of this religion if they want to. Hey, look, I'm generally pro-immigration. I'm just pro-sensible immigration policy that's decided by a country rather than forced upon them or, made to happen by circumstances or whatever you want to say. Immigration should serve the country to whom people are immigrating, not the other way around. It's how it is. Basic common sense. That way, good fences make good neighbors. Let every country deal with their own shit. Right. And if once somebody's in, they get the full array of rights and stuff. I'm not saying we should qualify how we treat people who are in our country. Because once they're in, they get afforded, as far as I'm concerned, totally equal status to every other human being I encounter in my country. But think twice before we let somebody in as a consequence. Right. Well, thank you for saying all that, Raphael. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's not possible to avoid every black sheep. There are gonna get some people in who are not ideal, and it doesn't mean that we should reject immigration out of hand simply because we're not perfect at it. That's true as well. Yeah, society should be able to handle that. Free speech, I totally agree with you, Raphael, 100%. Free expression is the most important thing because free expression is the thing that cures everything else, ultimately, long term. The marketplace of ideas, where everybody gets to say their arguments and the best arguments win, And that's the bottom line, is we have to distinguish between how we treat people and how we make policy decisions. So people might say, well, Eric, your policy decision is racist or something like that. No, my policy prescription here is simple and sensible and not racist. It has nothing to do with race at all. It is culturalist in the sense that I don't think that Islamic societies are healthy societies. I mean, well, sure. Look, America has a very good set of standards on what counts as protected speech and what doesn't. So, obviously, you can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater, and you can't slander or libel somebody. That's telling lies, though. So, lying is not protected speech. Calls to action are not protected speech, and there's other circumstances in which we also have less or more protected speech. The most protected speech is political speech, and it should be the most protected. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this just to be safe. Okay. It does make sense that as a civil society, we're going to have constraints that are not criminal on speech beyond those that are criminal. So there is unprotected speech, which means it's speech that the government can punish you for. Things like yelling fire in a crowded movie theater, or inciting violence is another call to action. However, simply writing a book in which you say that the public policy should include more violence is not a call to action. It's a call for political advocacy. So, you have to make fairly precise, draw fairly precise distinctions. Hi, Joe. Hi, Joe. How you doing there? You know what I was going to end it with, don't you? Well, look, I mean, the thing is, one area in which the U.S. disagrees with most of the world is the U.S. doesn't try to regulate hate speech. And, of course, that doesn't mean that because the government doesn't enforce criminal penalties on hate speech, that it's not regulated. It's regulated in other ways. So, for example, you get kicked off of YouTube if you engage in hate speech. But that doesn't mean that the government should be responsible for criminal penalties. At a certain point, society as a whole has to enforce basic decency through social methodologies, like, shaming people who are going to be engaged in openly hateful speech and racist speech are going to limit the number of people whom they can safely contact by a substantial amount, right? So, for most people who want to argue a bunch of incredibly stupid groupist positions, then I agree with you. I'm still gonna remove that comment. Just, I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Not because I get what you're saying, but I think it should be allowed to say that, and I'm allowed. Of course, I mean, you are in America. It's politically protected speech in the sense that the government won't get you in trouble for it, but you will get shamed if that's really your position. And the thing is, it's fine to shame people for reprehensible political positions if they're actually reprehensible. The problem is most people who are trying to engage in shaming about reprehensible political positions are not shaming people for the right kinds of wrongness. In other words, they're shaming people for being correct a lot of times. Like people try to shame me for not caring about the poor because I care about the poor, but they're too dumb to understand what that means, So that's just life. But that's the marketplace of ideas too. Everybody gets to do it. It's like Raphael says, the beauty of free speech is its ugliness. It's not free speech if it's comfortable. It's not free speech if nobody has a problem with it. That's just speech that doesn't need protection. It doesn't need to be free because everybody agrees with it anyway. It's comfortable. If I say, "Oh, I watched this movie tonight. I really liked it," then nobody's gonna say you can't say that. Everyone's like, "Okay, well, fine." But if I say some controversial opinion about immigration from by individuals from Muslim societies, then, well, all of a sudden, people get a little bit more uppity about it, right? Because it's a normative position regarding something that people see now as primarily an issue of identity politics. Right. Now, note, I also think that anonymous speech should be less well protected than non-anonymous speech. Some people may disagree with me on that. I don't think anonymous speech is protected necessarily. Free speech means you stand behind what you say. My name is Eric Strauss, and these are my positions. I am not a proponent of anonymity in speech. If you mean what you say, stand behind it. Link it to your identity. If you don't mean what you say, then why are you saying it? Now, granted, Raphael, I do mostly go by host Eric, but it's very easy to find my name. It's written all over the place. I'm Eric Strauss. Okay. Host Eric has a spike link. He alerted YouTube to one of his uploads that had an inflammatory historical name. So that's why I have to be careful. Right, yeah. They actually upheld my appeal on that, and they agreed with me that I was not guilty of hate speech, but it made me skittish. It made me skittish of that stuff. Well, I wanted to have a handle of sorts for the channel besides just Eric or Eric Strauss, or I wanted to have some kind of like stage namey thing, but I didn't want to actually change my name. So I thought, well, I'll just be host Eric, that if I always call myself that, then maybe other people will start to call me that too. And they did eventually. But new people around here call me host Eric when they come in. They go, they ask a question first, and they say, "Host Eric," It makes me smile. It's like, hey, look, I'm fooling everybody. They think I'm a real YouTuber. Did I finish this beer already? Wow, I cashed this thing. It's because it's so good. That's why. That's my favorite kind of non-alcoholic beer of all. This is the best one. Bitburger. It wins the prize for best non-alcoholic beer. Thanks, Raphael, for calling me host Eric. I appreciate that. I like that. Bite ein bit. You want me to bite a bit of what? Bite a bit of what, Raphael? Are you making a pass at me? Oh yeah, it is non-alcoholic. Yeah, it's 0% too. It's not. A lot of these non-alcoholics, they have less than 0.5% is what they say. So there might be a little bit of alcohol in it. I drink them anyway because whatever. But I prefer, actually, or actually I don't really have a preference, but I mean, I think it's good when it's 0.0%. And it doesn't taste, it's like my favorite ones, really. Bitburger is the best one of all. Then the second best one is Klaus-Thaler. Klaus-Thaler is delicious. First Bitburger, then Klaus-Thaler. After that, Heineken Zero is pretty good. Heineken Zero is good. I also like Buckler. Buckler's from Belgium. It's a good one. I discovered at Bevmo. I've been going there for months now. Guess what I discovered at Bevmo today? There's a whole non-alcoholic beer section that's not in the fridge that has way more non-alcoholic beer selections than just the ones they have in the fridge. I just always think that the ones they have in the fridge were all the non-alcoholic beer they had. No, they've got a non-refrigerated part that's just dedicated to non-alcoholic beer. And they've got way more choices than I thought. So next time I go, Bitburger is available at Trader Joe's, and so is Klaus-Thaler. Trader Joe's has good taste. They got the best ones there, but that's about it. And they also have Klaus-Thaler dry hopped at Trader Joe's, which they don't have at Bevmo, at least not right now. And the Klaus-Thaler dry hopped is super good too. Those are my top three: regular Klaus-Thaler dry hopped, and what's it called? Bitburger. Those are the three ones that I like best. So anyway, but I did get a new kind tonight that I'd never tried before, and it was called. Maybe I'll go get myself one, and then I'll tell you what it is. So I could go for one right now. Okay, now this one is called the one I just tried for the first time today. It's got a long name, you see. It's called Weihenstephaner. Weihenstephaner. But here's the thing. I don't like it that much, really. I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's kind of like too fizzy and kind of skunky. It's not the worst non-alcoholic beer I've ever tasted, but it's got kind of a bit of like a Coors Light taste to it. It's not really that great. Have you ever had this before, Raphael? This stuff right here? Well, I tell you, both Klaus Holler and Bitburger are much better than this one. I'd recommend either Klaus Holler or Bitburger, which are also German, I think, both of them. I'm very confident Bitburger is. I'm pretty sure Klaus Holler is. This is German too, I think. But anyway, of the three German ones I just mentioned, this is the worst one. The Weihenstephaner is not very good. I mean, not very popular. Well, there's a good reason for that. It's not as good as the other ones. Bitburger tastes just like beer. It's like I've never had any non-alcoholic beer that tastes so much like real beer as Bitburger. It wins on that grounds. I mean, Winston's mom. Okay, so what am I saying here? Right. Bitburger is impressive. I don't know how they do it, but they get that shit to taste just like beer. Even if I were still, drinking alcohol, I think you could serve this to me and I'd be like, I just wouldn't even notice that didn't have alcohol in it. What about Bitburger though, Raphael? Do people drink a lot of Bitburger? Because that's really good. Like this stuff, if somebody poured me this as a beer, I'd be like, what the fuck is this? It's like if somebody, what is this stuff? Is this beer? It tastes kind of like a refreshing, effervescent kind of Zima quality to it, that I don't really like. Even though refreshing and effervescent are normally positive adjectives, I don't really like those things in a beer. Bite ein Bit. I don't know if you guys remember Zima. Does Zima still exist? Can you still get Zima? I want to know. Zima was supposed to be like basically, well, if you think about beer as Coke, then Zima would be Sprite. It was like supposed to be the clear alternative to beer. Bitte. I don't know if Benjamin said what type he thought C.S. Joseph was. But don't you see what I'm saying about Zima? That's probably what somebody pitched it at the corporation. They're like, okay, look, beer is like the Coke of alcohol. So what we need is a Sprite of alcohol. Let's make Zima. But it was just, I mean, I don't know if I even really ever had it, but it just sounds terrible. I guess it's like lemon lime, right? Zima. What a dumb name, too. Does it still exist? Can you still get Zima? I need to know. Can you still get Zima? Aw. 2008, they discontinued production of Zima. Zima is still sold and marketed in Japan, though. And in February 2017, Miller Coors announced they are in negotiations to bring Zima back to the U.S. market. Oh. The end of Zima is near. Again, PR Newswire. May 2018. Everyone's favorite drink is back on the shelves. Everyone's favorite 90s drink. Let's stock up. But it'll be gone before you can say, I want to get frosted tips. I guess it was temporarily re-released. Provided by Miller Coors. Huh. Oh, well, it's probably full of wrongness. Winston's mom. You're going to have to excuse my general wrongness about things a long time ago. I was afflicted by a disease called general wrongness syndrome that made various things I said wrong. But not all of them were wrong. Some things I said were right. So you got to, as they say in the Army, pick and choose your battles carefully. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, who wants Zima? Nobody wants a Zima. If they had non-alcoholic Zima, it would just be Sprite, right? It's just Sprite. They already have non-alcoholic Zima. It's called Sprite. Now I'm tired, I think. I've eaten. You have particular wrongness syndrome? Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. I hate fighting. I hate, relationships. Nonsense. It's like, come on. Can't we just have a nice, easy, peaceful relationship? Yeah, I guess the burger kicked in is right. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to I'm gonna wait until the morning and see what she says. Maybe I'll go in there now and see if she's still awake. Then I'll come back out here. If she's sleeping, I might lay down in there. I don't know. I'll just see what she says in the morning. She'll probably be like, "My bad. I'm sorry." I'm guessing, but I could be wrong. No, I don't like fighting. I don't mind fighting people on the internet and stuff, but I don't want to fight in my relationship. That's the whole point of a relationship. It's supposed to be the safe place where crazy shit doesn't happen, you know? So yeah, it's supposed to be safe and stable, and yeah. I, I don't know. She's probably asleep, but she might not be. I don't know. Oh, no, I don't like that. So it's like, and Rachel and I didn't have any big conflict. Okay, let me make that clear. There wasn't any yelling. There wasn't any big battle or anything. So you know, she was upset, but she went in there, and I stayed out here, and we haven't talked about it since. You know, so anyhow, I'm gonna go now. If I end up feeling depressed and not being able to go to sleep, then I'll probably live stream again. But I think I'm gonna be able to go to sleep now. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here.